Hey guys, Akil Stokes here. Welcome back to another Weekend Trading Edge video. This is a video where I take a look around the markets and share a few of the best trading opportunities that are on my radar for the week ahead. We have a handful of things to look at today, covering a lot of different technical tactics and a little warning at the very end as well, as there has been some sneaky behavior in the market. But first, let's talk about what's coming up on the week ahead as far as the fundamentals go. We have two main news events that I'm watching, three now with the recent news that came out. Originally, it was going to be the PPI and the CPI news that is coming out for the dollar. That is inflation-related news. Inflation-related news directly impacts interest rates. Interest rates are the main cog that moves the market, so that's why that is important. Another thing that's going to be important is watching the reaction, or if there's any type of verbal reaction that comes off the recent tariff deal. For this video purposes, because we don't really focus on the Mexican peso, but U.S. President Donald Trump just sent letters to the European Union saying that, hey, increased tariffs, 30%, they're taking place on August 1st. It's going to be interesting to hear any type of verbal response to that. Next up is going to be the pound dollar. If you guys remember, I did a midweek video sharing with you a tricky situation. By the way, if you guys just join in for the weekend video, make sure you check out the channel throughout the week. I've been doing a lot of intra-week trading ideas for you, so make sure you repeatedly check out the channel. That way you don't miss it, or hit that little notification bell. That way when I do post something, it's brought to your attention. Been trying to do a lot more of that while I have the free time. But just a quick recap, if you didn't see the video, we were looking initially for a breakout to the downside from this level. This little guy got in the way. We had a conversation about the lower time frame and how you got to have rules for what counts as a violation on what time frame, blah, 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 blah. Really cool trading lesson. Fact of the matter is, we did end up breaking and closing below this level, which now confirms our bullish bias once again, or a bearish bias once again, excuse me. Now, the problem is price action already came to our first level of structure. That would have been the conservative target area that we were looking for. We also had a good level, or good lesson, excuse me, about inside versus outside structure. Remember what I told you before. Inside structure, cool, important, but not as important as outside structure. So I do still think there is a chance that price action travels down to this lower level of structure, 135.50s and beyond. What I would need for it to happen there, if I can get words out, what I would need for to happen, right? What I would need to happen is this. I would need a violation of this low. Me particularly, I would also need a violation of this horizontal line right here, just because I'm very conservative in my approach. And then looking for that confirmation of a break and close, or retracing it back up, and then looking to involve myself on this move down, getting involved right here, wherever that retracement comes to, and riding it down to that level. So there is still meat on the bone for this trading opportunity on the pound dollar, but congrats to you guys that took the trade, assuming it met all your rules. Dollar Canada, we have an interesting setup. We've got two overlapping signals that actually confirm each other, including a pattern that I love but don't personally trade, right? So where to start? Let's start with the potential butterfly pattern. If you guys are new, a butterfly pattern is a harmonic pattern. I won't bore you with the details of how you draw it out, but I will draw some triangles on and show you the area that matters. This is going to be our X to A. This is going to be our A to B. This is going to be our B to C. And the area that matters starts, for me at least, at this 127 Fibonacci level right here. And the zone, the Akil zone, I don't have the camera on, but I'm winking and doing a really cheesy smile right now because my name is Akil and this is the Akil zone, like kill zone. If you didn't get it, probably ruined the joke by explaining it, but it's still funny to me, haha. Anyway, this is the zone in which we would be looking for price to potentially retrace from. Now, we can also draw out one more thing. And again, I'm going to shortcut this for video and my sanity purposes. And we're going to look at a potential bearish cipher pattern as well. X to A to B. Let us change the color so it doesn't confuse you. There we go. Our B to C. And then our CD completion would be right at this 786, and the top of the zone would complete the top of the zone would complete at the same top of the butterfly zone. So you have a potential bearish cipher here in pink. You have a potential bearish butterfly, there in blue, complementing each other because they all complete at the same zone and they all have the same area of protection for a violation. Now, something that's really important to remember about these patterns, and I say we're just looking for a brief retracement. I got a message the other day saying, Akil, I'm sorry that your gold prediction didn't work out, or gold's going long. What do you think about it now? And I'm like, what are you talking about? It worked out perfectly. Maybe not for you, but for me. And they were talking about the cipher pattern we looked at. I don't know when it was, gold, 4 hour, and we looked at a cipher pattern right in here. We had, give me a second, guys, these videos are not rehearsed as you can tell, but we had an X to A, shaboink, an A to B, a B to C, and then a CD completion right here at this 786. And again, our trader is blinded by the fact that gold recently went from here to here, and they're screaming and going crazy because the pattern didn't work. But if you know the rules and the laws of the pattern, remember, we're not in these particular harmonic and advanced pattern formations, we're not looking for big retracements. We're not looking for big continuations, although that euro yen did fly up 350 pips as promised. That's not the norm, right? What we're looking for is a small little retracement, a move typically, right, to our 382 Fibonacci retracement, which is right here to here, or to our 618, which is from right here to here, right? We're looking for these small moves. So it's important to understand what you're trading, because I see so many traders that are actually good at identifying things and recognizing things and taking things, but they're really bad at understanding what the thing has to offer, and they don't benefit from it because they're stuck shooting for a target that is much more than what the actual pattern formation is willing to give. And it's a shame because you're doing all the work, but you're not getting the benefit from it. So if you're going to trade these things, make sure you understand how they work. Following up on the butterfly path, I have another butterfly pattern for you. I'm going to draw this on quickly again and show you that this is a cool one because it completes right at structure. So once again, our X to A is going to look like this. Our A to B is here, our B to C is there, and our C to D is right down here, almost at market. And if we look left, structure leaves clues. This happens to be right at a previous level of structure. So this would be a level that we would be looking at for a structured trade regardless. Now, do keep in mind, we do have some underlapping levels of structure looking even lefter. Yes, that's a word. I looked it up. No, it's not actually a word. If there are any young kids watching this, I don't want to ruin you for life, right? But do pay attention to that. But this is a decent level. And what the butterfly does is it gives you an aggressive reason to get involved. But if you're someone that's not aggressive, you can just look for a conservative reason as well. We have a little bit of loss of momentum happening right here as we come to the end of the week. Pay attention to what the candlestick clues give you, and you can look for a short-term bullish trade on this opportunity as well. A very similar pattern is setting up on the pound New Zealand. I promise the next thing we look at won't be a pattern formation for you guys that are not a fan of these advanced pattern formations. But these are cool. I love advanced pattern formations, so I'm a little bit biased. But all of these are ones that actually complete at pretty decent levels of structure as well. This one's going to be a Gartley. You can see our 127 right there. If I draw a straight line right from the X leg looking left, once again, we're at a pretty decent level of structure. So you have this combination of an advanced pattern formation setting up, which is powerful, also with a general powerful level of structure setting up, which is double powerful. So boom. All right, so in this next pair, we're gonna have a little fun. I would never think I'd be having fun on the Aussie-New Zealand because it's not a pair that really appeals to me in any way. In fact, I don't think I ever look at it, but we have some interesting things happening here. For one, on the daily, we have recently had a break and close above a previous level of structure. And what that does is allows us to make a prediction that price is likely to continue higher. If price is likely to continue higher, then where do I think price is likely to continue higher to? Well, that level I drew on, and specifically this magic number right here, 110, right? It's just an even handle number. It's a cool number. Us as human beings, we like cool numbers. We give it more importance than it should be. So I would expect the reaction to happen at that cool number. I bet, and again, I haven't looked at this pair, if we go back and look at this cool number in the past, we're going to have it hit a few times. We already know one. We can see a shelf right here. Two. Look at that. We're just consolidating right around this awesome cool number. So you can see that it does have importance. Now, what I'm looking at on the 4 hour is, and we're going to more so on the hourly, I guess, is going to be something called a Fibonacci inversion trade. So in general, I'm looking for a pullback, right? We just had a higher high, higher close. I would not be shocked if we saw some relief, and then we had a pullback up to that 110 even handle. What I want to do as a technician in the market is I want to start doing analysis and trying to figure out where that pullback is likely to go to. This is very similar to what we talked about in the podcast this week, where we talked about the Noah rule and Warren Buffett. I talked about kind of, judging where stocks are going to be at their cheapest. My job is, I don't need to worry about trading this now. My job is I want to know where it's likely to go to. And we're going to get a few different levels that we see on the hourly, but I would tell you that the level that stands out to me is going to be this zone right here. And as we go down to the lower time frame, we're going to see some really cool things that happen at that zone. So let's go down to the hourly real quick. And we've had lessons on this before. Just search my name and followed it by a Fibonacci inversion or freaky way to use the fibs. And maybe not freaky way. I don't think I've titled a video with that word, but maybe I should. Maybe I'll get clicks and likes. Who knows, right? But this is one of those situations where I think we're going to see a pullback that disguises itself as a violation of trend. And I say that because we have this. We have price moving up. And let me just change this color because it's annoying. Price moving up here. And then we have a retracement. And then we have a violation. What I think will happen, the first place you would expect price to come to and hold is this. And this would technically be a level where it's like, if this box is violated, then that bullish move per this time frame is violated. But we also know that higher time frames have much more credibility than lower time frames. And lower time frames, you see a lot more wiggles and jiggles, where the higher time frames tend to ignore it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually put in a deeper pullback down to this level before shooting back up. And again, this is something called a Fibonacci inversion trade. We can have a nice little confluence level. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Fibonacci retracement tool, drag it from the low of this retracement to the high up here. You're going to see a 618 down there. I'm going to take my Fibonacci extension tool. I'm going to invert it from the high here to this short-term low right there and bring it back up. And you're going to see a nice little confluence zone where that 127 inversion lines up with the 618 retracement. I would personally, my zone is a little bit bigger. I'd like to see that 618 to that 1618 zone right here. But anywhere in this level is going to be a good place to look for your reason for entry. So it's important to understand you're not just putting a limit order there and buying it recklessly, but that's the zone, and this goes for all the zones. Those are the zones where you're starting to pay attention and say, hey, let's see if there's any clue that the market will give me that this move is going to happen. So keep an eye on that level right there. This is going to be between 109.24s and about 109.12. And I'll just stretch this down to like 109 even down here. Just make the whole thing. But that could be a sneaky good level to trade it right back up to 110s if that does occur. Now to end things, I bring you Akil's crazy move of the week. Silver. Look at silver. Boom. There it goes. We had a very nice high and tight flag. We know this is a classic and historical breakout pattern, one of the strongest breakout patterns, and boom, it did just that. It broke out. Now, silver broke out for a few reasons. The main reason being tariff scares, right? There was an announcement, I think it was last week, that there was going to be tariffs on copper. Copper went crazy, if you want a comparison. And copper is funny. I mean, one of our tier 1 members, we called buys on copper like 4 or 5 months ago, whenever like January, February was, whatever. Man, that was 7 months ago already? Sheesh. Anyway, we called buys on copper because of the the murmurings about potential tariffs on copper. And what's happening now with silver is, one, there's a flood to the safe havens because and metals, and silver's a cheap metal, so a cheap safe haven. Two, silver's got some really good fundamental values in general as far as like its usage. It's not just like something you store and stash. It's actually used in our economy, like solar panels, for example, which are big green energy. They use silver, so it does have some actual use from an investment purpose. But the main thing is, I think there is a scare that silver may be next, that silver may be the next metal to be tariffed, right? If that's a phrase, it is now. And people want to get their hands on it before that happens. And because of that, we see this reaction. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know what Trump is going to do. That would be crazy. I don't think anyone knows. I don't even think he knows until he actually says it. But I haven't seen any signs that is likely to happen. So I have a feeling this is going to be more of a fear move than anything else. And this is weird to say because in general, I am bullish to metals, gold, and silver. I've been that for a while. But I do think, I don't think you should buy it on the open and expect another continuation up. I think one of two things are going to happen right away as far as like a short-term move. We're either going to get a correction and retrace back into our high and tight flag. And there aren't any technical reasons for entry yet on that. But if you did get like a lower low, lower close right here, that would be a positive sign, or some type of pin bar would be a very positive sign that we're likely to continue down here. Or we're just going to consolidate very similar to what copper did, where copper was here, we did that, and we just have been stuck in a pennant pattern before it breaks out one way or the other. Now, again, these aren't in the same situation, but I do think this is one of those things where the public is going to be very rowdy about this come Monday, and I think there's going to be a lot of immature traders that rush in and try to buy because of FOMO, the fear of missing out, and I think they are going to be used and abused. And profit taking will happen up here. They will use those traders to get out of the market. And then whoever was looking to buy is going to buy at a much cheaper price right down here, right? Before eventually going back up. Something my first investment mentor told me is that he said, hey, Akil, because I had an office in the city. I had like 3 or 4 TVs, and like my research consisted of me just like watching TVs and copying what the pundits were doing. And he came in, he would give me these looks like, what are you doing? I said, I'm trading, I'm investing. And he's like, well, why are those people on the TV? I'm like, well, so I can get ideas. He's like, you do understand, like by the time it hits the news, it's too late. And I was like, what? Right? I had no idea what I was talking about, but it makes sense, right? By the time it hits the news, it means the public has already acted. That's what gets it to hit the news. And then if you try to trade, then you're late, and you're typically the one that gets used for profit taking, only to see yourself lose and then it go in your favorite direction weeks later. So I do think there is certainly room for and this is why I'm so confused about this, because I have a bullish bias. You know, overall, we take a look at the weekly and where we're at. Like, look at silver. We're trading, if I delete all this junk right here, we're trading at a level right here, and technically speaking, right, there's nothing above that, right? Nothing right above that. The next level of relevance, in my opinion, above that is going to be right here at about $42.5 or $43 for silver. Maybe a little bit lower if we go into daily. I looked on the weekly for this, but let me just check out the daily real quick. But 42 is the number that I had written down in my notes. So yeah, I don't think there's anything relevant here until about 42, 42 fives, right? Even maybe 44s if you're feeling freaky, right? That sounded weird saying that. Anyway, so I do think ultimately we do have room to go up. I just don't think, I would just warn you against being the one that trades it right away. And what's going to happen is I probably did the jinx of the YouTuber. It's going to go up to 42 right away, and I'm going to get yelled at in the comment section. But trust me when I say more times than not, you don't want to be involved at the top of the move. And if there are any traders that can back me up, right, please leave it in the comment section below, because I know people are going to be like, Akil, you're just saying that. But trust me, if you talk to seasoned traders, they will tell you the same thing, right? Don't buy at the highs. Wait for a cheaper price. So that's it for the video. Hit that like button. Again, lots of intra-week videos I've been putting up, so make sure you hit that notification bell if you want to be notified. Been doing a lot of trading ideas. I think it's cool to share them because not a lot of places on YouTube share quality ideas, in my opinion. And if you like it, let me know by saying nice things. And if there's ever anything you want me to take a look at, leave that below as well. I love just looking at different ideas and discussing them. All right, until next time, plan your trade, trade your plan. Take care.
Invest in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display.